qualified letter, and working with a lender that's really going to make sure that you are pre-approved for that, and making sure you're working with an agent that understands the difference between the two, so that you're ready to compete in the competition. So as we go through here, so let's take a look at what's going on in the real estate market. Obviously, we came off a holiday weekend, so let's jump into our graphics here. Numbers are down, which is typical this time, after a holiday weekend. So we had 353 new listings. The week prior, sorry, I can get my English correct here. We were at 460, so we're down 100 units for those new listings that came on the market. Obviously, respectfully so, with that holiday, Thanksgiving that weekend, and obviously all the people taking a break. We had 219 new contracts written and 229 happy new homeowners this last week with regards to that. So just, I know last week I had a listing go live last Wednesday, pretty much as we were doing our video last week. But looking at that, we had 15 showings and we had 7 offers by 8 o'clock that night. So it went live at 11 o'clock roughly last week, 15 showings that day. And I had people saying, well, we want to see it after Thanksgiving, or we want to see it tomorrow during Thanksgiving. One of the guys kind of like laugh, joke around with my clients. If you want to sleep on it, you're not going to sleep in it. So, I mean, the market right now, and that was 210,000, that market, that price segment is very, very active. It was a great house, and so we had that, very good traffic, even on a holiday weekend. So those buyers that are out there ready, willing, and like I said, able to pull that trigger are getting out there, and capitalizing. I know rates have gone down. Russ and I were talking before we got on here, since about the first part of November, rates have been pretty favorable. We're starting to see more buyers, come into that marketplace, which is, those buyers that have kept going, you're seeing more buyers come in, more competition. Hence, we had 7 offers on a house, and we were hearing, across, general scheme of what's going on out there, from other agents. Different price segments are different with regards to that. So it just all depends on the price segment. But looking at the 30,000 foot view here is we got 3,000, almost 3,100 homes in the Omaha and Lincoln MLS. And then we break that down a little smaller into the Douglas-Sarpy County area, the Omaha metro area. We're just under 1,800 homes. And we saw that we had 829 existing homes this last week, and we have 964 listing or new construction. So our number for existing homes has dropped from about 850, last week, but our new construction numbers have gone up. So we're seeing that existing market, some of those things coming off the shelves. Buyers out there, obviously, with rates coming a little bit, they're like, hey, let's capitalize on a fall market where we can get a good price, fair price. You may see some multiple offers like we saw with my listing out there in different price segments, but it's still very active. Month supply of inventory, we're almost a 3-month supply. So 0 to 3 is deemed a seller's market. And then once you get 3 to 6 is neutral market, kind of a healthy market. And then, above six months is about a buyer's market. So our average sold price for November right now is about 340. So that's up 8% from last year. So we're still seeing good price appreciation. We're not seeing the double-digit numbers that we were seeing a couple of years ago. But, as I said earlier, as we see that market, interest rates becoming favorable, not teetering up around that 8, we're down to 7, and so people are getting out there before that rush, I think, as we see, and we'll probably be saying this for the next couple of weeks here, going into the, obviously going into the height of winter. But I think it's still a great time to get out there and be active in it. So I know we talked a lot about rates, so let's go on with Russ and see what his insight is. I know what he was mentioned Friday is going to be a big day for numbers. You're on mute, Russ, so just make sure to unmute yourself. So, but yeah, let's rock and roll, see what the rates are doing.
Yeah, usually the last Friday of the month or very close to it. We have what they call the PCE numbers. It's actually going to come out tomorrow, since last week was a holiday. And the PCE is personal consumption expenditures. That's the Federal Reserve Bank's favorite measure of inflation. And as we've talked about many times, the Federal Reserve Bank is charged with trying to get inflation back under control. And so as a result, the reason why we see interest rates so high is because the Fed is trying to slow the economy down. If the PCE number that comes out tomorrow continues to show some nice improvement in inflation, the fight against inflation, that will be very favorable for us. We could see mortgage rates improve a little bit as we head into the month of December. In the event that we have some sort of a flare-up or spike in inflation, the Fed likely wouldn't like that number, and so the bond market might expect that we could see maybe some further tightening, which I don't expect. Having said that, though, and Mark, you alluded to it earlier, inventory is improving a little bit right now, and interest rates have been moderating, coming down since the first part of November. So for those of you that were thinking of waiting until the spring market to buy, we've said this before, it's quite likely that if rates continue to come down, more and more people will come off the sidelines. Think about your own situation. If you stepped away because you didn't like these interest rates, but are willing to come back in when rates get down close to 7%, do you think you're the only one thinking that way? And when you have more prospective buyers competing for a property, that starts to put upward pressure on home prices. That starts to limit your ability to get certain contingencies, such as home inspections or maybe even seller contributions to help with your closing cost. So don't be afraid of these interest rates, especially given what the Fed is doing, because this is a great time to buy a house, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely. And even on the new construction side, I know some builders are offering incentives, rate buy downs and things of that sort. So if that's an option for you, give us a holler. We're happy to sit down and meet with builders. And even some of their existing inventory, like we've seen on those numbers, we were at about 800, 750 on new construction numbers, a couple months ago, and now we're at 960, 960 and some. Reason being is they're putting, the foundations in the ground. So they're those buyers. We talked about this last week. So those builders are prepared for that spring market. So they have, inventory and product for basically people to buy. So those people wanting to get in before school and things of that sort in August. So, builders aren't going to overextend themselves and put a bunch of houses in the market just in case, they're cautious, as they always are. But they, a lot of those builders sometimes will put, a handful of specs out there just to keep that product moving. So, but so if that's an option for you, new construction, or even getting in that existing market, give us a holler. This is a great time of year where people start talking about, we're thinking about next spring. If that's in the cards for you, give us a holler. Even if you're renting a house or leasing an apartment or anything like that, give us a holler, because they're, take a look at what your lease, if you have to break your lease, because if you find a house, next week, next month, before that spring market hits, maybe it makes sense to, make that extra, pay $3,000 to break your lease, because you're going to save on the back end of paying $300,000 for a house, next month versus, 310, 315. And if rates get better, you might even pay more, in a multiple offer situation. So that's just information we just like to get out to you. Whatever you choose to do is ultimately your decision, but we just want to make sure you have that information so you can lay it all out on the table. Have your Ben Franklin diagram, you got the T's and you got the plus and the minus in the columns, and go through it and what makes sense for you. For you, your family, your investments, things of that sort. So don't take too much more of your time, but appreciate you all listening. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. And I think it's supposed to be nice, nicer, this week for weather. I think we're going to grill out tonight. So yeah, cool. All right. That's all I got. Take care. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, comments, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. But we'll talk to you guys next week, and